The workshop sat behind the garage, like it had been placed there by someone else. For a year after Ellen died, I never opened the door. It wasn't locked, nothing dramatic like that. I simply walked past it whenever I crossed the yard. The windows gathered dust. Leaves piled near the steps. From the outside it looked like a room the house had forgotten. Ellen spent more time there than anywhere else. She built things. Small furniture, shelves, wooden toys she sometimes gave away without explanation. The smell of cut pine and varnish used to drift across the yard on quiet afternoons. After the funeral, I closed the door and left everything exactly where it was. A year passed that way. Then the lights in the workshop started flickering when I tried to turn them on. One evening the breaker tripped entirely. The house electrician who checked it said the wiring in the back building was old and probably unsafe. "You'll need to rewire the whole place," he said. I almost told him to forget it. But something about leaving the workshop in slow decay felt wrong too. Ellen had built half of it herself. Letting it rot seemed like another kind of loss. So I hired a local electrician named Marcos. He arrived on a Monday morning with a quiet handshake and a truck full of tools. I showed him the workshop, apologized for the dust, and told him to take whatever time he needed. Then I left. I drove around town longer than necessary that day. The idea of someone tearing open those walls Ellen had painted and measured and argued with me about, made me uneasy in a way I couldn't explain. Around noon my phone rang. It was Marcos. His voice sounded different from earlier. "Careful, sir, I think you should come home. Something wrong with the wiring." There was a pause. "I found something inside one of the walls," he said. "It's not electrical." Another pause followed. "And it might be personal. So, if you come alone." The drive back felt longer than usual. I kept imagining problems, old pipes, maybe something dangerous left by a previous owner. But Marcos had sounded too deliberate for it to be something simple. When I pulled into the yard, the workshop door was open. Marcos stood just inside, wiping dust from his hands. He didn't speak right away. He simply pointed toward the far wall where a section of drywall had been removed. Inside the opening, between the wooden studs, was a narrow metal box. Not large. About the size of a small toolbox. It clearly didn't belong to the house. I stopped as soon as I saw it, Marcos said quietly. Didn't want to touch anything. I stepped closer. The box had no lock, just a simple latch. When I opened it, the first thing I saw were envelopes, dozens of them. Some were sealed, some already opened. Beneath them sat 2 small notebooks and a bundle of receipts tied with twine. Everything was arranged carefully. Not hidden in panic. Hidden with intention. I picked up one of the notebooks. Ellen's handwriting covered every page. Names filled the margins. Addresses, dates. Short notes written in the same small script she used for grocery lists. At first I didn't understand what I was looking at. Then I recognized one of the names. Mrs. Alvarez. An older woman who used to live 3 houses down before moving away a few years ago. Next to her name was a list of grocery receipts and a note in Ellen's handwriting. December rent covered. Don't mention. Another name followed, then another. Some pages listed small cash amounts. Others described errands, rides to doctor appointments, repairs done quietly, bills paid for reasons that weren't explained. None of it dramatic, just years of quiet help. I kept turning pages. Marcos had stepped outside, giving me space. Eventually my hand stopped on an envelope near the bottom of the box. My name was written across the front. I opened it slowly. The letter inside was short. Ellen's handwriting was steady, like she had written it during an ordinary afternoon. If you're reading this, it probably means someone finally had to open the walls. I figured that might happen someday if the wiring failed. I could almost hear her voice in the lines. These things weren't secrets the way people think about secrets. I just didn't want them to become something we talked about at dinner. Some help only works if it stays quiet. I sat down on the wooden stool near her workbench. Dust floated in the light coming through the workshop window. The letter continued. There are a few things in the notebooks that might still need attention. If you decide to close the box and forget it, that's okay. But if you don't, you'll know where to start. That was the entire message. No explanation. No request. Just the same calm certainty Ellen carried into everything she built. I looked around the workshop. Her tools still hung in their places along the wall. The measuring tape still clipped to the edge of the workbench. For a year, I had believed this room only held memories. But now it felt different, like a door had been opened into a part of her life I had never noticed. Outside, Marco's truck engine started. He waved once before pulling out of the driveway. I stayed there long after the sound faded. The metal box sat open on the bench beside me. And for the first time since Ellen died, the silence in the workshop didn't feel like an ending. It felt like something unfinished,